G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video. This is another track combination from the Lewis Hamilton DLC in Gran Turismo Sport. So I have a few now, but I have since beat his time on Brands Hatch here. So that means it is now time for another video. So we'll have a look at the lap here. So once again, following the format, I'm going to show you a fast lap, then a slow lap, as in like the same lap but slowed down, so I can talk you through braking points, etc. And then the full lap again at normal speed, so you can then apply what I've said in the full speed lap to see what the diamond time looks like. So it's a bit of a track guide, diamond lap preview, all sorts. So Lewis Hamilton DLC was introduced in the game a little while ago. You can buy it from the PlayStation Store. Have a look in the description. I've spelled it out quite clearly down there. Have a read through there. It's got all the prizes, etc. Down in the description you can have a look at all of his times and tracks that are part of the package. Once again, all down in the description. Lots of descriptions to do with YouTube here. But we'll round out the lap now. We were 2 tenths up halfway through Sterling's Bend there, but we do get a poor exit. We'll say disclaimer, this is a guide to beat Lewis Hamilton. It is not a guide as to the perfect lap of the Mercedes AMG around Brands Hatch, so I do make some mistakes, but overall we do come across the line with a 122.902 as opposed to Lewis Hamilton's 122.965, so I do beat his time by a little over half a tenth, which is fine. Still diamond, which is the point here. But we'll now slow it down. The lap begins pretty much as soon as you start, because you start in the middle of the track, but you want to get over to that left-hand side, because you then want to be pointing towards the right before the braking zone. Let's have a look into turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend. We're going to brake about halfway between the number 2 and number 1 board and start trail braking really early, get that back end to swing around. You just see as the track begins to drop away, get that nice bit of rotation just there. See how much ground we catch up to Lewis Hamilton at this point, and then we're pointed in the correct direction to power out to the outside. Use the dip there, or the dip before Pilgrim's Rise just here, to finish rotating the car. Into Druids, braking just before the little orange paint stripe on the left-hand fence there. Slide it into turn 2. We're actually a little bit wide on here. You really ideally want to get about half. You want to get 2 wheels on the inside curb there, but I do more a traditional V shape. Subtle V shape on the exit, halfway through Druids there. On the exit, a little bit of oversteer. We're heading downhill, so it is very easy to get oversteer, and Lewis Hamilton actually gets a massive kick of it, which is why we gain a little bit of time through there. Number 1 board, down into 2nd gear, trail braking once again. The car naturally swings to the left, so that's advantageous for the left-hander that immediately follows the braking zone, obviously, and then powering out to the outside. Lewis Hamilton keeps it down onto the track. You can't see his ghost because I'm, ahead at this point, but he keeps it onto the track. You can actually use all that curb up on the left-hand side there. That is a sort of trick to gain on Hamilton here. Coming into Surtees now, braking just slightly before the number 1 board. I'm actually slightly too late in this particular occasion here, and you'll see we actually go a little bit deep, and we try to bring it back for the apex. We're about half a car width off the actual apex, or a third of a car width off the actual apex there, but I do manage to rescue it by getting onto the power quite aggressively and just working with any oversteer that gets me. And that is evident, that time lost from going wide is evident in now. We're only half a tenth ahead of Lewis. We were about 1.5 tenths coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Down the straight now, probably has a name, but I don't know it. But coming into the next part of the track, I wish I had a name for it, but I don't. It's very narrow, very fast. You've got to be very precise, and you're quite close to the edge. So we'll have a look at it now. Braking about halfway between the 2 and 1 board for Hawthorne Bend here. 4th gear, trail brake until you start to tend towards the apex. A little bit of coasting, and then onto the power to power out to the outside on the left. See, I've got corner markers on to help me with this. Doesn't affect anything, so why not use it? So we end up actually gaining quite a bit of time. We're 1.2 tenths ahead of him at this point, braking into Westfield Bend now. You want to get half the car up onto that curb, and then just wait a little bit. I get onto the power quite aggressively because in this particular lap I wanted that slight bit of oversteer to help get the car around. I end up losing a slight bit of time, but I keep the car on track, so it's not to worry. Very difficult corner as we head down through Dingle now. Up onto Sheen Curve. This is very difficult. You want to brake just before the 1. Down into 3rd gear. Trail brake to get the back end to turn, as you want to be sort of pointed in sort of a late apex orientation for Sheen there. I actually lose quite a bit of time through there as well. I was well over 1/10 ahead. I'm now under 1/10. Coming into Sterling's Bend now before the 1. I brake quite a bit too late here. As you see on the entry, I'm over 2.5 tenths ahead on the apex, but I have to just feather the throttle massively on the exit. I end up on the grass as well. So not a good run through Sterling's. That was just, that stemmed from braking too late. You want to be quite a bit before, probably 2 car lengths before the number 1 board, going into there and down into 2nd gear and use the camber on the inside. But we get through there okay. Into the final corner now. Braking here, it's just, there's like a checkered or striped painted bit on the barrier on the left hand side. It's just after that. You want to brake into 3rd gear. Don't want to get into the power too aggressively, because look at this downhill section. You will understeer for days if you get onto the power too aggressively. But similar to turn 1, it has a dip on the exit, so you can use that to finish up the rotation of the car throughout there, and we managed to get quite a good run through there. Stick it over to the right hand side, as you're only going to gain time going that way, and we cross the line. Wow. That's how I got a 122.902 diamond lap there. So hopefully you were able to follow that. We'll now go through the lap again at full speed. I'll try and talk you through again. Over to the right hand side, point towards the entry to turn 1, trail brake, get that back end to swing around, accelerate out towards the apex. You can gain about 1/2 tenth on Lewis at that point, braking into turn 2 just before the orange paint on the barrier. Get nice and slow through here. You do not want to carry more speed than necessary through there. A little bit of a wiggle on the exit there. Just before the number 1 board, we're going to brake into 2nd gear for Graham Hill Bend. Use all this curb, that platform curb up on the exit there. Lewis Hamilton does not make use of that. Coming into 30s, you want to brake just before the number 1, slightly earlier than I did. You see I'm about half a car width off the apex there, but I managed to rescue it by getting onto the power extremely aggressively there and working with any oversteer. Heading down the straight now into Hawthorne Bend, where are we going to brake about halfway between the number 2 and number 1 board, down 1 gear into 4th, onto the power nicely there. Gained quite a bit of time through there. Westfield now, half the car up onto that curb, and then you want to use that curb on the exit there, extremely close to death, down the dip of Dingledell, up towards Sheen, just before the number 1 board into 3rd gear, late apex orientation. Sterling, you want to brake about a car length earlier than I did, as you see how much time that I lose on the exit here. This was really the poor point of my lap. Final corner just after the sort of stripe on the barrier on the left hand side, and then power out towards the exit in a similar fashion to turn 1, has a dip on the exit, just finish the rotation of the car, and then power in a straight line towards the finish line at Brands Hatch. Wow. That's a 122.902, so confirmed I'm better than Lewis Hamilton. If you can find any argument that proves otherwise, please do, but I can assure you, you will not. I hope you found that helpful. Do hit the like button if I was able to help you get a little bit close to his time, or beat it by even more. And do subscribe if you'd like to see more of these. Like I've said previously, I will only make these videos if I beat the time, so I may not bring all of them to you, but I'll bring as many as I can. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. I do thank you for making it to the end, but that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.